Champions for Christ means training the younger generation to become the champions God created them to be. It's time to go higher and stronger with C4C.
And you've been challenged not just to be a doer of the word, but champions are outdoers. Hey, welcome back, guys. Coach Brim, and we are continuing this on how to enthusiastically kill a giant, part 3. And so we have been talking about, we have found out through the art scrolls that our part is to make him the object of our worship like David did, and have the highest degree of respect. And also to be excited about serving him and excited about doing your place of the covenant. And these are things that are interesting. And then God's part is, I will be your God, I will be your protector, and I will be your benefactor. And we know that David in Psalm 103 says, don't forget the benefits, because he knew this. He was established so much in his covenant, he knew there were benefits. There's benefits for you, and God is your benefactor. And so those benefits are amazing, and their healing, and their prosperity, and their peace, and their joy. They're all of these things that he has for us, all the promises. So let's pick this up. Now, the thing you need to understand about Old Testament and then we're New Testament is in the Old Testament, they, they relied on knowing and understanding their covenant. They relied on it. Some of them would forget about it, like David's brothers. But David and Abraham and all the ones the Bible mentions as the Hall of Fame, they relied on knowing and understanding their covenant. They were excited about the benefits of it. And you know this by David saying, who is this uncircumcised Philistine? He didn't have a covenant. When you're covenant-minded, you think differently. You act differently. You're because the covenant that David stood on when he faced Goliath was made long before that day that he fought Goliath. It was made with Abram. And Abram had a hard time making a covenant with God. Covenant's a big thing, and you've got to understand that God is a covenant God. He's a covenant God. You've got to be established in this fact that if you read the Bible, you will see where he will say things to Israel like, I will never break my covenant. And the thing about it is, you got to know that there's three groups of people in the Bible. And you're one of these three groups. You're in one of these three groups. Let's see if you can figure out which group you're in. There is the nations, there is the Jews, and then there's the church. And so you find out who he's speaking to in which group he's speaking to, rightly dividing the word. So don't wrongly divide the word, rightly divide it by finding out who's speaking, number one, when you study the Bible, and who they're speaking to. Is it that group, me, and you're the church? So we're going to find out what he says to us. And I'm going to tell you right now, once you learn about covenant, you're going to see it all through the Bible, Old Testament and New Testament. And so God is going to make a covenant with Abram. He says, go get a heifer. Now, why does he say that? Because there has to be blood. The Jews have taught us that in every covenant, there has to be words spoken and commitments made by words, and blood has to be shed. That's why Jesus had to go to the cross and shed his blood. He was the covenant. He was the sacrifice for us, for you and me, so that we could live for eternity and not live in hell. And so anyway, he says, go get a heifer. And he's got to convince Abram, because you got to understand, Abram's name changes when he has the covenant to Abraham, because that's part of covenant. There's a name exchange. And that's what's exciting for us. When you know covenant, we get his name. We get the name of Jesus. I'm telling you, the name of Jesus is powerful. And you can use that in your prayer and your authority over something in the name of Jesus. That's covenant talk. Whenever you say in the name of Jesus, you're talking covenant. So we need to be more established like the Old Testament was in their covenant. They relied on it. But I don't know, what do we do? Write a book every so often and hear a sermon every so often? We need to rely on it and be established in it. And because God is, and he has his part, and his part, he's well established. Are you? Am I? And that's what we're here for. Because his part is to be your God. I'll be your God. I'll be on your team. I'll be your protector, and I'll be your benefactor. Well, I don't know about you, but I need that. I want that, and I need that. So how do I get more established in the covenant? Because when you get this teaching, and you need to tell your friends about this and spread the word, help us. Don't just rely. You're part of this team. You're part of Team C4C 365. This is just isn't about us here. You're a part of it. So help spread this word and this training. And so he's got to convince Abram, because Abram's not convinced. Maybe you're not convinced. I wasn't convinced at one time. But how do we get convinced? So he takes Abram out of his tent and he says, look up at the stars. Can you imagine how starry night that was? Oh, man, I guarantee you, the light show was on. And he says, count them. And he says, well, I can't count. I know you can't count them because I'm the one who created them, and I named them. I know every one of them. And so he's telling Abram, you are getting ready to go in covenant with the one who created those and named those. And so somewhere in that conversation of seeing those stars, I believe that Abram, I believe that Abram said, I see it. I see it. A glimmer, a glimpse of hope, a glimpse of faith is all God needed. That's all he needs from you. I see it, Lord. Maybe something inside of you is going, oh, Lord, I see it. I can do this. That's all he needs. That's all he needs. Now, he goes, now I want you to go get a heifer. And that's when I believe the very first Rocky music started, not when the Rocky movie went on down here. It actually started in heaven. Dun, 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 dun. Because that was that's when everything changed. God is telling all of heaven, he's telling all the host, he's telling all the angels, he's telling everybody, I'm going to make covenant with man. Well, that has never been done. Man had made covenant with man. You could make covenant with other tribes and other people to help you to be stronger in war and protection, but not with God. Can you imagine? With God? I'm going to make covenant with God? So I just want you to, for a little bit, think about what Abram was thinking. It had to be wild. He's leading those heifers, and what am I going to do? How are we going to do this? There's an exchanging of coats. There's an exchanging of names. What's my name going to be? Bruce? I don't know. I hope it's not Bruce. But maybe these ideas were going on in his mind. I don't know. But all these thoughts, can you imagine that? And so I've got a friend. We do tours over in Israel. And by the way, we're taking our church over in June. And if you're interested in that, go online somehow, some way. You can figure it out. But maybe you can go with us. Who knows? But he sat down and he heard me talking about covenant and how I'm telling you, I'm focused on covenant. I think of covenant. Every time I pray covenant. The word covenant comes out of my mouth. And I'm not bragging. I'm just saying I'm just well on my way to becoming more established in this covenant. And I think that's what we're supposed to do. And you know what along comes with that? Excitement and enthusiasm. Why is Coach Brim the way he is? I'm covenant-minded. I didn't used to be this way. I used to be gripey, get off my lawn type guy, when I was coaching in the earlier days. But now I'm still got a little bit of that in me, but I'm more excited. All right, so here we go. So he said, I want to tell you what Abraham, he goes, you said what was he thinking? I can tell you what he was thinking because these are the terms of the covenant. Number one, promises and agreements are made. So we're talking about the Old Testament, not New Testament, Old Testament, right? And this is what was on Abram's mind. Promises and agreements are going to be made between him and I, and that's where they would they would become one. Number 2, they would prepare a blood covenant, and that's where God told him to get those 3 large animals, and they would split those animals down the spine, and their halves would go. This is gross, isn't it? And their halves would go on the ground, and they would separate them, and in the middle make a pool of blood. 3 large animals and all of that. That's a lot of blood. I'm hunting, and when I, harvest a deer or an elk or whatever, and you gut them, I'm trying not to be gross, but there's a lot of blood in the body. So 3 animals, that's a lot of blood. So they would make they call it the way of the blood in the middle, right? And that was a path that they would go into, and they would pledge their loyalties. This is not the way it is now. It's similar but different, thank God. Thank God we don't have to do that, right? Okay, so then number 3, I'm just telling you what Abram's thinking. How am I going to walk in the middle, in the way of the blood with God? How is that possible? I mean, all these things could be going on in his mind. 3, they would exchange coats. Hello, what size is God? Do I have a coat that would fit God? What kind of coat is God going to give me, right? So all of these thoughts, but here's what you got to understand about coats, an exchange of coats. What that means is an exchange of authority. It's more of what it means. Authority will be given. Doesn't the Bible tells us, I've given you all authority? Jesus says that to us. That's a covenant saying, what he's saying. That's a covenant statement when he says, I've given you all the authority. Why? Because I shed that blood. He's the one that gave the blood.
Thanks for tuning in today. If you're ever in the Collinsville, Oklahoma area, we'd love to invite you to join us at a glorious church fellowship, pastored by Chip and Candace Brim. Our heart is to train up champions in this generation, strong in faith, equipped for life, and ready to impact the world. We would love to meet you in person. Come be part of what God is doing at a glorious church fellowship.